Picture this scenario, which is rarer than finding a salad in Homer Simpson's fridge. You finally hit that magical $1 million mark in your retirement savings. You're probably thinking you've made it to the big leagues, ready to retire like a king. You think it's time to buy a yacht, fly first class, and hire a butler just to tie your shoes because bending over is for poor people. Well, hold on to your wallet tighter than Mr. Burns holds onto a nickel, because I'm about to burst that bubble. I'm going to pop your fantasy faster than a cheap pool float at a chaotic Simpson family barbecue involving sharp objects. The harsh reality, my friends, is that $1 million today isn't what it used to be back when Grandpa Simpson was yelling at clouds. Your grandfather might have been able to retire like a king, smoking cigars and ignoring his family with that amount of cash. But unless you plan to spend your golden years eating instant ramen and binge-watching free static on TV, you need to adjust your expectations. My name is Barry, and I help people navigate the confusing world of finance so they don't end up living in a cardboard box behind the Kwik-E-Mart. If you want to understand what your money can actually do, instead of just hoping for a miracle, hit that subscribe button right now. Give this video a thumbs up if it helps clear things up, or just do it because I told you to. Here is something that might shock you more than sticking a fork in an electrical outlet at the power plant. That $1 million portfolio you've been dreaming about is not going to fund the lavish lifestyle you see in magazine ads for people with fake tans. In fact, it might barely cover what you'd consider a comfortable middle-class existence, somewhere between Ned Flanders and Principal Skinner. The question we need to answer today is simple but crucial, like asking where is the any key on a computer. Exactly how much income can you realistically expect from a $1 million nest egg without going broke before you die? Before we dive into the numbers, let me paint a picture of what most people think retirement looks like, because they are usually wrong. They imagine withdrawing whatever their investments earn each year and living off those gains like a parasite on a host. Sounds logical, doesn't it, like thinking a monorail will solve a town's transportation problems? I guess if your portfolio grows by 12% one year, that's a cool $120,000 to blow on nonsense. Not bad for doing absolutely nothing except owning some stocks and bonds and sitting on your couch. But here is where this fantasy crashes into reality like a shopping cart hitting a speed bump in the parking lot. The stock market doesn't hand out steady paychecks like a reliable employer. It's more like a moody teenager. One year you might see your investments soar by 25%, making you feel like Warren Buffett's smarter, more handsome cousin. The next year you could watch that same portfolio drop by 10%, leaving you crying in the shower. That leaves you wondering if you should have just stuffed your money under a mattress like a paranoid hermit. Let me give you a real example of just how unpredictable this casino can get. Back in 2018, the market decided to throw investors a curveball, delivering negative returns that left people staring at their statements in horror. If you had been counting on those market gains to pay for your groceries, you would have been starving. Imagine explaining to your spouse that this year's vacation budget just disappeared because the market had a bad mood swing. Then there's the sneaky villain that nobody likes to talk about, inflation, the silent killer of dreams. While you're busy celebrating your $1 million milestone with cheap champagne, inflation is picking your pocket. It works quietly behind the scenes like a thief at a crowded festival, stealing your purchasing power. That money loses value every single year, melting away like a popsicle on a hot Springfield sidewalk. What seems like a fortune today might feel more like pocket change decades down the road. Think about it this way, remember when a candy bar cost 50 cents and you could actually afford happiness? Now that same candy bar probably costs $2 or more, and it's smaller too. That's inflation doing its dirty work, and it's not going to stop just because you decided to retire. Your $1 million today will buy significantly less stuff 20 or 30 years from now. Even if the number in your account stays exactly the same, you're getting poorer by the minute. This is precisely why financial experts have spent countless hours trying to figure out the safe withdrawal rate. How much can you safely take out each year without running the risk of eating cat food in your 80s? The answer isn't as straightforward as you might hope, and it definitely isn't as generous as you want it to be. Some financial advisors take the ultra-conservative approach, suggesting you withdraw only 3% of your portfolio each year. With $1 million nest egg, that would give you a measly $30,000 annually to live on. That is, unless your retirement dreams involve a steady diet of generic cereal and discount store clothing that itches. That might feel a bit tight for most people's taste, like wearing pants that are 2 sizes too small. On the other end of the spectrum, you'll find advisors who think 5% is perfectly reasonable. That bumps your annual income up to $50,000, which starts to feel more like actual money. But here's where most financial planners land, and it's become the golden rule of retirement. The 4% withdrawal rule has become the standard recommendation for a reason, and you better listen up. Understanding why this number exists could be the difference between comfort and working as a greeter at age 90. This 4% figure isn't just some random number pulled out of thin air by a boredom committee. It's based on extensive research and historical market data that spans decades of booms and busts. The idea is simple: you withdraw 4% of your total portfolio value during your first year of freedom, like taking a small bite out of a giant donut. Then, you adjust that amount each subsequent year to account for inflation, ensuring you don't starve as prices rise. So, with your shiny $1 million portfolio, you'd start by withdrawing exactly $40,000 in year 1. If inflation decides to run at 3% that year, causing the price of Duff beer to go up, you'd bump your withdrawal up to about $41,200 in year 2. You continue adjusting upward each year to maintain your purchasing power, fighting the invisible enemy of rising costs. The beauty of this system is that it's designed to last for 30 years with a very low probability of your money running out before you do. It's supposed to keep you safe, unlike the safety inspections at the nuclear power plant. Now, before you start planning how to spend that $40,000 on lottery tickets, there are some important details you need to understand. First, this calculation assumes your portfolio is split 50-50 between stocks and bonds, which is a very specific flavor of boring. That's actually quite conservative compared to what many expert investment gurus on TV scream about. Some advisors suggest keeping your entire portfolio in growth stocks, acting like the market only goes up. They argue that bonds carry their own risks while offering returns lower than a lemonade stand's profits. The choice between stocks and bonds becomes increasingly important as you age and your hair turns gray or falls out completely. Generally speaking, the more stocks you own, the higher your potential returns, like betting on a winning horse. But that also brings greater risk, meaning you could lose your shirt faster than Barney Gumble at a poker game. Younger retirees might be comfortable with more stock exposure because they have nerves of steel or just don't know any better. While those in their 70s or 80s might prefer the stability that bonds provide, even if it means accepting lower returns. Here is a crucial detail that catches many people off guard, like a rake to the face in the backyard. That 4% withdrawal rate is specifically designed for a standard 30-year retirement period, not an eternity. If you're planning to retire in your 40s or 50s because you hate your boss, you might need to be even more conservative. You might need to withdraw less, because you have to make that money stretch longer than a piece of gum. Nobody wants to celebrate their 90th birthday by realizing they have 10 years left to live but $0 in the bank. That's a surefire way to end up moving back in with your children, which is a nightmare for everyone involved. The unpredictability of lifespan adds another layer of complexity to retirement planning that most people ignore. We'd all love to know exactly how long we'll live so we could budget to spend our last dollar on our last day. Unfortunately, life doesn't work that way, and death doesn't send you a calendar invite in advance. Planning for the unknown requires careful consideration and probably a bit more caution than you want to hear. The truth about longevity might surprise you more than finding out Maggie is the smartest Simpson. According to recent data, the average 65-year-old can expect to live another 18 to 20 years. But here's the kicker: that's just an average, meaning half of you will live longer than that. Some of you will live significantly longer, turning into ancient relics who still need to pay bills. You might be planning for a 20-year retirement only to discover you've got 35 years of bingo games ahead of you. This uncertainty is exactly why being conservative with your withdrawal rate makes sense. Even if it feels like you're being unnecessarily cautious, like wearing a helmet to play chess. Think of it as wearing a seat belt or keeping jumper cables in your trunk next to the spare tire. You hope you'll never need the extra protection, but you'll be grateful it's there when life crashes. But let's get back to that $40,000 you can safely withdraw from your $1 million nest egg. For many people, that number feels disappointingly small, like a fun-size candy bar on Halloween. After all, $40,000 doesn't exactly scream living the dream in today's economy. A decent new car can cost that much, leaving you with $0 for food or rent. And don't even get me started on what a week at a nice resort will run you these days. It's highway robbery. However, before you start feeling too depressed about your retirement prospects, listen to this. Remember that this $40,000 probably isn't your only source of income, unless you've been living off the grid. Most people have been paying into Social Security throughout their working years, involuntarily or not. That system is designed to provide a foundation of retirement income on top of whatever you've managed to save. The average Social Security benefit currently sits at around $1,800 per month. That is roughly $21,600 per year that just shows up in your mailbox. Now, your actual benefit might be higher or lower depending on how much you earned and how much the government likes you. If you wait until your full retirement age, you'll get more than if you claim early like an impatient toddler. Wait even longer until age 70, and your benefits increase even more, rewarding your patience with cash. Adding that Social Security income to your 4% withdrawal gives you a combined annual income of approximately $61,600. For a married couple where both spouses receive benefits, you're looking at potentially $83,000 or more per year. Suddenly, that $1 million retirement starts looking a bit more reasonable, less like a tragedy and more like a sitcom. Of course, the government isn't going to let you keep all of that money without taking their cut first, like a school bully demanding lunch money. Taxes in retirement can be trickier to navigate than a conversation with comic book guy about canon continuity. If your money is sitting in a traditional 401k or IRA, every dollar you withdraw will be taxed as ordinary income. It gets taxed just like the paycheck you used to receive, so the pain never really ends. On the flip side, if you've been smart enough to build up a Roth IRA, those withdrawals come out completely tax-free. It's like getting a permanent discount on everything you buy, or finding a glitch in the matrix. The catch is that you had to pay taxes on that money before you put it in, so you basically prepaid for your freedom. Most retirees end up with a mix of account types, which gives you some flexibility to play games with the IRS. You might withdraw from tax-free accounts when you need extra cash, keeping your taxable income lower than a limbo stick. The state where you choose to spend your retirement can also have a dramatic impact on your wallet. Some states have no income tax at all, which means more money stays in your pocket for important things like donuts. Others tax everything, including your Social Security, which feels like getting kicked while you're down. Moving to a cheaper state could save you more money than switching to generic beer for the rest of your life. Beyond taxes, your location affects everything from housing costs to the price of a decent cup of coffee. That $60,000 income might feel luxurious in a small town but won't even buy a parking spot in capital city. Healthcare costs deserve a special mention because they rise faster than Mr. Burns' age. While Medicare covers a lot, it doesn't cover everything, leaving gaps wide enough to drive a truck through. Long-term care, prescription drugs, and dental work can take bite-sized chunks out of your budget until there's nothing left. The average cost of a nursing home now exceeds $100,000 per year, which is terrifying. This is where having that $1 million cushion becomes particularly valuable, acting as a shield against disaster. It's not just about paying bills, it's about having the flexibility to handle a crisis without panic. Whether it's a major home repair or a medical issue, cash provides peace of mind. Many experts suggest you'll need roughly 70 to 80% of your pre-retirement income to maintain your lifestyle. If you were earning $75,000, you'd want to aim for about $52,000 to $60,000 to keep eating fresh vegetables. However, if you were accustomed to a six-figure lifestyle with expensive hobbies, you're in for a rude awakening. Retiring at 62 means your money needs to last potentially 40 years, which is a very long time to be unemployed. Early retirees need to plan for lower withdrawal rates or find a side hustle, maybe selling lemonade. Let's talk about sequence of returns risk, a fancy term for bad luck at the worst possible time. Imagine retiring right before a major market crash, like in 2008 when portfolios evaporated. You're losing value and withdrawing money to live, which is like selling your furniture to buy firewood to heat the house. This double whammy can destroy your portfolio's future, even if the market eventually recovers. This is why many retirees keep a cash buffer, earning zero interest but sleeping soundly at night. It allows you to live off cash when the market is vomiting, so you don't have to sell stocks at a loss. Don't forget that your portfolio generates taxable events like dividends, even if you don't touch the principal. You'll receive tax forms that look like they were designed by a sadist to confuse you. Practical expenses like housing don't vanish, property taxes go up forever, much like the entropy of the universe. You still need a car, unless you plan to ride a skateboard at age 80, which I wouldn't recommend. Food expenses might actually go up because you have more time to eat out and socialize. Medicare premiums are income-based, so if you're rich, the government charges you more for the same service. So there you have it, $1 million gets you roughly $40,000 to $60,000 annually. It's not yacht money, but it's not cat food money either, so stop complaining. The key is managing your expectations because retirement surprises are about as welcome as a tax audit. Start planning now, stay realistic, and maybe you won't have to work at the Kwik-E-Mart in your 90s.